And we're back. And you are listening to Villaincast, BJJ Anti-Heroes, with myself, Chris, the Villain Pains, and Naki, El Jefe, Arshed. And welcome to Reap the Week. But first, a quick thank you to our members at In Theory, BJJ, Concept, Driven, Jiu-Jitsu, for fight commentary, technique and concept videos, private coaching, monthly webinars, and Q&A sessions. Please visit www.patreon.com/InTheoryBJJ. Hey, Nak, where have you gone?
Yeah, I'll let you do your thing. Come back in.
Oh, okay, so you didn't have to laugh at me whilst I'm doing it.
No. How did you know? I'm joking. No, I was just sorting everything out.
That's very good of you. That doesn't affect the microphone. So this is our second attempt at doing this because the previous conversation was going so well. We thought, let's get it back on video now. I thought it was going pretty all right.
Yeah, it was. I was in the motions like.
I was in the motions. Let's see if we can find it again. So okay, we'll pretend that never happened.
Yeah.
How have you been?
I've been fine, thank you. How have you been?
Like we said before, miserable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks not having a shoulder. Yeah, because I can see why people get frustrated when they can't roll. I mean, it's the first proper injury that's taken me out like for a long period in 16 years. And man, it's feeling aged now. You're looking thin. You're looking slender. You're fighting at 85 kilos, aren't you?
Yeah.
New super fight.
Hopefully my last one.
Today.
Hopefully my last one at 85, and then move down a bit more.
Oh, I thought you guys last one at 85, then go straight back up again.
No, I've had enough beating big guys and fighting big guys now. Like I need to get to my body frame. Like,
yeah. Well, that's I say to people, what's it when people ask like, what's it like training with you? I'm like, well, imagine someone who's got the strength of someone who's still 140 kilos, but they move like someone who's 85, and you've got knack.
But I mean,
it's unpleasant.
Yeah, but I mean, there was a lot of fat. It wasn't much muscle, But there is a lot of strength that comes with weight. You know what I mean? But yeah, I do feel like I've carried a lot of it over, especially when I did start going heavy into the weights when I was 115. That weight.
Yeah. Oh, you can feel that strength still there, and it's so miserable. You got the pressure that comes with it as well. But yeah, so I'm excited to see what happens in that super fight. When is it?
2nd of Feb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's soon then.
Yeah,
that's pretty soon.
I wanted to get a few in before Ramadan. Ramadan starts that last few days of February, so I want to get a couple in before then, and then straight back on it after.
Makes sense. Yeah, because you don't want to be competing.
Done that. I'm not doing it again.
No.
I mean, it was a good day, good results, but like the pain I had to go through, I was like, no, never again.
Yeah, exactly. So the conversation we were having just before we decided to sack the whole thing off and go again was, so the conversation we're having was this, I can't remember how we got onto it. It was about eco.
Eco was about eco training and the tools, and you talked about Guy Mendes.
Yes, so there was a article that came out. I should have found it when we had that break of so I could actually quote it. But it was something about G Mendes, like Gui.
We did we had a couple of minutes of deciding how we're going to pronounce his name.
Yeah, Goo Pudding Mendes. Something about how he was talking about like this whole conversation on eco right now, and it's one thing that we use aspects of it, but it's I think it's disingenuous sometimes to actually then kind of go down the idea that everything has to be eco, because loads of people have got to where they're at now with drilling, so there must be something to it.
No, but obviously it worked. But again, what eco and all the different tools that are coming in now, what it was done is just shortened everything, tightened things, took out a lot of BS. I see a lot of catch wrestling guys being very proud these days because it is turning into very catch wrestling-y, which is good. Catch wrestling is a really, really good form of grappling. But yeah, you could see the transition, how a lot of gyms are now going into trying these different tools of eco. Still dry drilling works, like there is a place for it. You have to use it as a tool. And I think you were going on to leg locks, weren't you, saying like if you wouldn't just...
Well, yeah, that's the thing, as in it's a case of drilling has worked. Eco, we've done variations of eco and, various things like that accidentally in sport for long enough and in jiu-jitsu. The bigger conversation is strategy. And that's the problem is that, when leg locks came in, 10 years ago, they were coming in hard and you had the beginnings of Metamoris and stuff like that, and people were winning hard with legs, is that it wasn't that they were doing a whole new training plan because they're doing eco or something. It was because their strategy they chose to win fights was there. And that's one thing we need to spend longer thinking about is it's not the tools. Tools are great. But are they wielded in the right hands? That's the conversation. It's strategy and applying the right strategy for the right outcome.
No, agreed. I was thinking about this yesterday. I don't know, it just came to my head. Sometimes, when you're just either driving or you're either about to teach jiu-jitsu or something, you have a random thought. I was thinking like, how purple belt we used to usually say was the belt of where, okay, you've learned the stuff, but now you can go and do it for your own body type, implement the game that you want to implement. But right now, when we talk about strategy and what we're doing with our new guys and our blue belts at the moment, like you can already see the fight IQ and the strategy that they're picking up, and they're not waiting till purple belt to go and do that. They are already, like the way when we're teaching them these different tools and different methods of learning and bringing strategy into it, they're already developing that fight IQ from day one rather than waiting till purple belt and be like, oh, okay, so this is my game and this is what I need to do for my body type. Whereas the way they're learning with all these different methods and the whole getting up stuff and not doing the traditional way of learning jiu-jitsu, they are progressing faster, and they are that like IQ is like, it's such an important thing, ain't it? Because that's where all the timing comes from and all your different setups, and you've got to be in the fight to understand what you're doing.
Yeah. And that's why, especially with how I feel we've kind of progressed with teaching. When the conversation became very much about eco, I was very glad that we didn't just go, that's what we're doing and jumping in, because it feels very USP sometimes. And instead we went, actually, what's our strategy? What is our thing? And it's always been this we've never been beholden to a certain style. We've always kind of examined what works. And when things change, we adapt to it. It's adaptability and adaptability of strategy, especially in a growing sport. And then being able to apply that. I think our biggest change has been applying that across a team and going, right, as a team, we move forward together through strategy. And the different things we do in sessions, be it drilling, be it very concept heavy, be it, hell, we even did a warm up the other day, just as like an agility test. Or some eco style training, sparring, etc. Whatever makes the most sense that people get the strategy and make the strategy work.
It also keeps it fun and entertaining as well, because you're not like the method of teaching or the format of the class is always changing, chopping and changing. It's not always doing the same old boring thing. Like, let's say we did even eco, for example. If you did it for 3-4 weeks, every session you went in, and you'd eventually get bored. You'd be like, oh, we've got to try something else. We've got to do something else. We've got to find a different way of teaching and learning. Like back in the day when we didn't have the option, like everybody was like, I think that's another big reason the retention rate of people staying in this sport now compared to now, not just us, but around other gyms as well. More people are staying around because they're understanding the puzzle, whereas we would learn the traditional way, go and spar, and knowing full well that most of the things that we learned, we ain't going to be able to pull off until God knows when it happens. So, now even you can use all these different tools, and you could completely, like every week you could have a different way of teaching and seeing what works for everyone. And like you said, different areas of the game require different types of teaching. So I think it's good in a way. The whole sport is progressing so fast because a lot of people are now getting out of that dogmatic way of one move, 2 moves, 3 moves. Sometimes they're not linked. Sometimes they are. And then it's like, okay, now you go spar for 30 minutes. Class is over. Cool.
Well, it's those more holistic, tactical kind of conversations that I think are important. As in, when we're looking at doing a class, and this is allows us to be more humble with things. As in, if we do a strategy and it hasn't worked as well, okay, well, let's examine the strategy. Like, let's go do something else. And that's why how I reframed the belts of white belt. We're teaching you how to play football, but after that, it's strategy. And if I say the strategy changes, if you're a blue belt and I say, right, we're now doing this strategy, you change it, because it's up to us as the coaching staff to actually look at, to be able to travel around, roll with different people, be able to examine what we do, examine other people's games, watch footage, etc. Look at competitions and see how things go, and go, right, what makes the most sense now as a team to go forwards? What allows us to go into our weaknesses, our strengths? What tools we use, we have to find whatever is appropriate. We have many tools in the bag, whatever allows us to do strategy. And so it's kind of fuck eco. It's people are obsessed with it. It's essentially a fucking electrified screwdriver. Fantastic. It's a great screwdriver. Really cool. But it might not be the right tool for the job sometimes. And you can apply eco as a tool to the wrong strategy. The right strategy doesn't just appear because the strategy changes. At one point in time, leg locks made more sense. Now, not as much, because everyone has a plan. But you could have ecoed leg locks at one point. It doesn't just allow the right strategy just appear and there's only one strategy that's all going to solve jiu-jitsu. And again, I think it's the wood for the trees. We're having the wrong conversation. And it's been able to adapt strategy around what you want to accomplish. And I'm so glad that that's where our conversation is compared to the tools we're using. And the fact that we can then get a whole team on board. We're trying to really weed out people who are going off on their own. No, it's if it makes sense from a strategic point of view as for a team, join in on the team. There's no point you freelancing on your own. If you want to do that, there's plenty of other places, but we're going this way. I think that had to be said out loud. Our opinion on it.
Yes.
Because some people have asked recently, what we kind of think about jiu-jitsu currently, and I'm like, well, it's the conversation about it. Is that
jiu-jitsu is like social media, everybody's looking for that new trend. And right now it's eco. And next year it could be something else. Maybe something that we already do, and you put another new name on it. And it's boom, new trend. Everybody start doing it.
Well, I've watched some people trying to teach it and read some discussions online of people talking about it and the drills they've made. And I'm like, you're using your biases of what you've been taught initially, like side control, guard, close guard, side and guard passing. And you're trying to apply this tool now to learn those old things. But is that old stuff appropriate in the current format? Because you guys say, the whole thing about Craig Jones just stand up, as in he was just messing up people because they were not learning how to deal with people who are trying to get up. When Lachlan was on here, he said the same thing of, you don't learn with jiu-jitsu people, you learn with wrestlers, because jiu-jitsu people just lie down. So you could be doing eco. We're doing this brand new way of training called ecological, constraint led. Cool. If your strategy's wrong, and people are still going to stand up on you. So what does that matter? Great, got this fancy new Black & Decker. Doesn't matter. Wrong. Wood for the trees at this point.
And we'll debate it. If there's people out there who want to debate us on this, I need to sell some tickets for fights so I can get onto the bigger card. So let's get some popularity.
Well, this is gonna. So now I've got a video. We can. This is gonna go online. Right. So we have got questions. I'm just getting them up here. Loads of questions, unfortunately. Where is it? There we go. Oh, Nak, you ready?
Yeah.
First one. How do you use weight distribution to avoid getting leg locked?
Oh, beautiful. That's literally what we're doing. We've been doing, aren't we, really?
Dude, I can't remember the last time anyone could swing on legs on me.
Oh, it's hard, man.
It's been
It's
hard.
It's hard.
Yeah. And then I think it's when you got a good alignment and you're putting pressure on the legs, on their legs, like, I sit myself, I prefer being in leg lock vulnerable situations now because it doesn't matter.
It's fun being in the fire and knowing like you can't get underneath.
No, just like when you've got that good pressure on the hips. I think, we could definitely do recording this as a strategy video. Like, I did do 2 videos in theory. Now they're about to go up on. I had Big Daz down, and Big Daz, I did try and sweep him. I was using butterfly relentlessly trying to get underneath him. I just couldn't do it. And this is black belt, 215 pounds versus white belt, 255 pounds, and I couldn't do anything. The whole video was just 11 minutes of me getting my head kicked in on the floor. So yeah, it's weight distribution. It's making sure your weight is on their legs and you're crushing their heels into their ass. And you got that forward pressure and you got that good alignment on your knees as well. It would be my 2 cents on it. What about you?
No, same. I like floating a bit more on the legs, but some people might call it stalling, but I like to just stay in positions where I know they're stuck. They can't push you or pull you, but I want you to push me so I can then dig it a bit more deeper into the legs and then start smashing. It's the same thing, like staying heavy on their legs and not being in a rush to pass. Like there's no satisfaction passing someone fast. Like, you want to pass someone's guard. Like, if they've made a choice to play guard on you, in your head, your mentality should be, I'm going to fuck your guard. So, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it hard. I'm going to do it slow. And then I'm going to do it fast when you're tired. That sounded wrong.
A little bit.
I mean, like, people are always so much in a rush to pass guard. Like, it's like that's the most powerful part of their body. Like, if you don't get that tired and you pass guard quick, they're going to use it to reverse. And that's how a lot of scrambles happen. It's going to turn into a fight. Tire them out, cook the legs, and then when you do pass, they're not going to have the same explosive energy to reverse and bridge and scramble, and you can dictate a lot of the fight where it goes, which I see a lot at the highest level. You see it, like the strategy is there where you can see why the guy isn't in a rush to pass the guard. They take the time, and they take the time in the sense that they're using different methods of passing. So there's speed passing going on, there's pressure passing, there's all the split leg stuff. And it's as much as it is a physical exertion on them, it's also a mental exertion, because like you could put your weight in positions where they want you to pass, but you can hold. You can just hold and make them just tire them out a bit more if you're in the right position, and then pass when you're ready. Make the bottom person suffer. Like, I don't know how many times I say this, and theoretically speaking, the top guy should win. Just, again, more tools on your side. So yeah, you've got to fuck up as a top guy for a lot of the bottom guy stuff to work.
That's one thing I've been teaching in privates and stuff, especially right now, and I've been doing it a lot of my own personal kind of journey, is don't pass. Like, I don't want to pass. If I do accidentally pass, I'll go back into your guard and just cook you again. And it's one thing, like, just as a training methodology and like a plan strategy, is to enjoy being in someone's guard and learning how to dismantle the tools. Like, you're in a perfect situation to learn how to dismantle arms and legs, because they're there available to you. How to remain safe, how to distribute your weight, how to apply pressure, how to apply momentum, and how to do effective clinch work and hand fighting, essentially leg fighting, and learning to dismantle their 4 weapons. And when their 4 weapons have been thoroughly annihilated that they can't use them, a pass may accidentally happen. But when you're so worried about getting the pass, you make more mistakes, you expose yourself more, your weight's all over the place, and you're more likely to get caught in the long run anyway, on a strategic level. No, I much prefer, like, the roles that I do get, I just chill in the guard. I'm not looking at, like, it's a loss that if I don't pass, because I'm learning so much about dismantling the tools whilst I'm there, that I do eventually pass just by accident. But when I do, their legs and arms don't work. like the legs especially. And I don't pass into side control. That's pretty much been abandoned. It's all leg rides, Turks, stuff like that, stuff that will stop them from standing. Yeah, I felt very much that way after the Rob Benatsky seminar of I need to learn how to dismantle tools better and not worry about the pass.
Yeah, true. Like with someone who had that dexterity and that power, and also the gas he had in his legs. Like I was cooking him for about 6.5, 7 minutes, and I got close to a pass, and he just exploded back, and I was like, okay, this is going to take a bit longer. And then that did to me. It was like, okay, we're on the right path, but with good guys like this, we've got to cook them a bit more and put the pace on a little bit more. And then pass a bit more later on. But yeah, I agree that rolling with Rob is a big eye opener in the sense that, okay, what we're doing is working, but we've got to get that timing and that strategy right a bit more.
Yeah. And this is what I'm saying about, the conversation on coaching in general. It's like, we haven't just applied like, oh, let's eco this now. It's no, here's a new strategy from rolling with a high level black belt, examining what happened and going, cool, right, how do we then apply these ideas to the rest of the team and improve the rest of the team and actually convey that message and go, right, we're not going to try passing then. Let's stop guard passing drills. Like, let's stop pushing that narrative that I have to force the pass. Let's now push the drilling of learning to dismantle tools. And when everyone feels more comfortable on it, we'll probably find passing will improve, but the passing will be better equipped and people won't be as excited to get up or do anything afterwards. Like, dude, trying to stop Daz or trying to deal with Daz in my guard for those 11 minutes, it felt like I'd done a leg day. I felt destroyed. The following day, my legs were hurting. I was like, that's a man who didn't even pass my guard or submit me, and I can't use my legs.
Yeah, any day where I decide I'm going to play guard today, just to if I'm feeling a bit rusty, I like play guard or just do a full session of just being in guard or playing guard from the bottom. Like, yeah, I know the next day I'm going to have walking problems. Yeah, it ain't going to be a leg day in the gym. I can't go for a long walk. It hurts.
No, dude, I felt broken after that one. But yeah, so there's that answer to that. Where if I just put my... Oh, there it is. Everything's black and dark. Okay, this one came across a couple of messages, so I have to tie it together. How do I stop the bottom person kicking me away? Oh, when I'm looking to cook. I'm trying to control the legs, though. Keeping posture and checking active toes, so I can't stop them from creating space. So I think the question there is, they're trying to put pressure on someone in guard, yet the other person just keeps kicking them away and creating space about it.
Yeah, so the problem there is, okay, your posture's good, but they're moving the plane of the field, so you need to move with them, and also they've probably got the soles of their feet on some solid part of your body. That could be your knee, your hips, your shoulder, and that's how they're creating the space. So again, the posture and everything, that's like stage one. That's like the beginning. Everything else then is you got to like deflect things. You got to deal with not letting people post on your body with their feet, because that's obviously how they're creating distance, or you're allowing them to frame on you with their hands first, elbows, knees, and then feet, and then they're extending away. So you've got to deal with these problems early on. And when they move, then you move. Don't try and move first, because if they're trying to create space, they're trying to create space. You can time side smashes, you can time loads of things to keeping the gap closed on them.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I learned to deal with what you do. Is you're very good at putting the feet back on, and that is the thing, guys. And it's getting out the idea of a guard pass. It's a hand fight to a clinch, and the rules of hand fighting and the rules of distance management and the rules of clinch work, they all apply in both. Okay, there's a couple of nuances, but you have to understand that field. About closing distance, about climbing joints, about creating pressure, creating angles, over, under, round, and through, creating clinch work, putting pressure onto ends of the spine, all applies, whilst also maintaining your own safety on posture and maximizing your own strength. You can't separate the idea of it being guard or it being hand fighting from standing. It's the same thing. Like, if someone's putting their hands on you, standing, how the hell are you not dealing with that? Like, I watched that Khabib clip. I think it must be from Fanatics release or something, where it says if someone grabs you by the wrist, go home. Stop grappling, stuff like that. And it's I kind of agree. But that's a conversation on hand fighting, of like, once you get in within distance, grabbing them by the wrist, double wrist grip or something. Same with the guard. As in, if someone's got their feet on you, deal with it. And then close distance and climb up to the knee. Then put pressure in, because the knee can't push as hard as the foot can. And then think how, the physiology of a leg. Like, where does the leg move best? And about aligning the hips. Like, if their hips are aligned, they're going to push on you better. So fuck up the alignment. Like, they have to use their quads, glutes, etc. to be able to push you. Move into a situation where that can't happen. You paused.
No, I'm here.
Yeah, and it's the further conversation on what guard passing is and the strategy behind learning it. The strategy you're looking for and the learning practices behind it. That's a new video right there. Man, this is gonna be a busy week. Oh well. In theory, it's gonna be busy. All right, next one. When does a way of grappling stop being jiu-jitsu? And this is Aldo over in Manila. Hey, Aldo.
Who cares?
He doesn't say that really, Knack.
No, in the most
Aldo.
polite way. Like, not against him, but who cares what jiu-jitsu is? Or like, it's all a branch of grappling, isn't it? Like, unless I think jiu-jitsu, the grappling side of it, or what separates it from other things is the guard, because you bring the legs in the way, and there's no other grappling forms which have a guard in that way, and it's separated from the others. So I don't know. I think the reason why we compete in the Brazilian jiu-jitsu rule set is because it's like the most complete rule set of grappling, you could argue, because you can take someone down, you can submit them, and then the legs come in the way, so the guard part of it comes into it. So I don't know. I don't know, like, why it's grappling. Like, I think I say to people more these days that what I do is grappling or submission wrestling rather than jiu-jitsu. Like,
Well, Chris Houghton said it on one of his old videos must be about 10 years old now, from a US camp, that it's the style, it's the rules that make the styles, not the styles that make rules. So when you have, you could argue today jiu-jitsu features leg locks. Didn't. Now, if we'd had this conversation 10 years ago, couldn't have said it. So what do we call it? Do we call it no-gi and stuff like that? Do we call it gi? And so it's the style that makes it. Now, the fact that we have certain styles of guard is simply because you're not getting hit in the face. And the way people pass is because people aren't trying to stand up. And the way a lot of the fact that most jiu-jitsu guard is outside based with the legs going around the outside, is because the rule set didn't allow leg locks. Yeah, if you have your legs on the outside, you're more likely going to get leg locked. And so the rule set of the competition then informed where the style went. And so that kind of conversation of, when does grappling stop, jiu-jitsu, grappling stop being jiu-jitsu, is that it depends what rule set you're in. If you learn grappling, you then try and apply what you try and direct what you do in towards the rule set you're going into. But if you learn like all aspects of grappling, if you became an auteur of grappling, you could then eventually just cut out sections and then hyper focus on a different rule set. And that's all it is that jiu-jitsu is just a rule set. And that's what informs the grappling. And if the people change the rule set, the jiu-jitsu changes. Grappling never changes. Grappling is the art of fighting without using strikes. Essentially. Grabbing someone, taking them to the floor and holding them there. And then maybe breaking something that they own.
Or putting them to sleep.
Yeah, that's it. That's what grappling is. Jiu-jitsu is a subsection of grappling that has a changeable rule set that does change, and that will inform how jiu-jitsu changes, not the other way around. Grappling never changes. And I'm happy that, we are learning a more holistic approach, because that makes us more malleable. We can adapt. I'd like to get your thoughts on practicing takedowns and break falling. How do you implement that?
When was the last time we taught a break fall? We're crap coaches, Chris. We have taught anybody how to break fall.
Although, to be fair, I never learned to break fall in wrestling.
I've never learned how to break fall properly. It's weird. It's just, I think you learn along the way. Just don't ever put your hands out. Just take the takedown and fight from the bottom.
Well, I think it was Chris Howard said it in one of his old videos. He said that the biggest change when it came to upright fighting and learning break falls was the introduction of mats. They only had to learn break falls because they were landing on straw matting in judo. And then as soon as you implemented soft vinyl, you didn't have to learn anymore. And it's the amplitude of what you're learning. If you're getting aerated, your understanding of how to fall is going to have to be a lot bigger. But if you're someone who's getting taken down, so that implies that your feet are still on the floor, then your understanding is going to have to be probably a bit less. And yeah, I think that, I hit judo throws on people. Yeah, I don't have to, what's it called? They don't necessarily have to break fall because I'm tucking them in and I'm not throwing them onto straw matting. And so they don't die. But I think it's your introduction of takedowns as well. I like how we did it from starting from the floor, of mat returning. Because that completely takes the amplitude out of the situation. People aren't being sent into the air. They're being directed back onto the ground again. And yeah, I think the caveat I'd say is that scaphoid fractures are a bitch. If someone lands hand out, hand flat, that's where you normally get scaphoid fracture. And that's it's a little snuff box in your wrist, there. When that fucker breaks, look up non-union scaphoid fractures. And anyone listen to this or watching the video, put your hand up if that sounds familiar. Anyone who's done boxing without a hand wrap, you're going to have more than likely a scaphoid fracture. And the injury is caused by putting your hand flat out on the floor. That'd be the only one. But yeah, I think break falls aren't as necessary as when we did judo throws on straw matting.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, kind of got left with the times. But again, if you had a bigger argument of what we did is just old judo in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This is from our friends in Wales. Concepts to survive and escape a leg lock entanglement.
Okay. It depends on the situation, but most of the time, it depends whether it's ankle lock or heel lock as well to an extent. But generally, keeping the pinch off, so you got to break the pinch. You can't keep their legs together. It depends on how deep you are in the entanglement as well, because there's things I don't know. With leg locks for me, it's I react to the situation, and it's more I attack back, and then that's one way I get them to loosen off, and then I can either escape or create it into a scramble or look to get up. A lot of the time, I'm looking to get up again if I do end up in an entanglement. But most of the time, if I want them to let go, I either counterattack straight away, and then that usually helps. And we're either standing back up again or it's another scramble.
My main takeaway is don't get into a dick measuring competition. And like think legs are one of the only times where you can like go for submissions on each other. And I think most of my injuries are from dick measuring competitions when I was younger.
No, I agree.
No, I'll be fine. I'm gonna survive. Bang. No, I didn't. So dick measuring competitions. But I think it's the same with all joint locks. And you posted this earlier and it made me.
I know.
Oh, knack.
I know.
Wait there. Let me quoteth the man. Ready?
Yeah. I had to read it multiple times. I was like, okay, yeah.
Quoteth Don Janoher. The greatest need for precision in jiu-jitsu is probably the application of joint locks. This is the clearest case of the use of levers and fulcrums and blocks and wedges in the game. As any engineer will tell you, the difference in force generation between properly using the full length of the lever with a well-placed fulcrum is far greater than a hackneyed application where you use them inefficiently. This is a case where a little extra time to set things up properly pays big dividends, so don't rush the finishes at the expense of precision with your joint locks.
Precision.
And one thing that we talk about a lot is when we're doing joint locks is making sure your clamp is good. And having felt Mr. Danner on my leg and the rest of them, clamping the joint. And that's why, I actually did this in a private a couple of days ago, when you're doing a joint lock, you're doing a hyperextension or a rotation injury. If it's a hyperextension injury, you want to isolate whatever you're going to be hyperextending. So it's like putting a block of wood in a workbench clamp. If the workbench clamp is crap, then the block of wood is just going to move around. But if that clamp is solid, when it hits its point of no return, it's just going to break. And we all know, that would obviously put a hard clamp on. But do we really do that? Do we really clamp that upper joint of the of that lever we're trying to break? Probably not. If it's a rotation injury, which means that we're rotating something, which means that it's like unscrewing the lid off a bottle of water, is that if the bottle's just spinning in your hand, the lid isn't going to really unscrew easily. But if that bottle is clamped, unscrewing the lid's going to be dead easy. And it's not going to take much force to make it go. So are you clamping the bowl correctly? And it's that rush of those two things. So anything to do with leg lock entanglements, mess up their clamp. As your foot's miles away, just mess up the clamp. Because then anything they do is going to be inefficient and gives you longer to escape. And then unentangle yourself. Unfuck yourself. But yeah, it's all... When you're in those things, the clamp is more important. And if they've got no clamp, they don't know what they're doing anyway. Like, I wouldn't necessarily worry. I as soon as I have someone latch onto me, if I don't feel that clamp instantly, I know they don't know submissions, and I actually prefer chilling out in that joint lock and then laughing at them because I'm just adjusting to whatever they're trying. It's, again, part of the fun of being able to travel on jiu-jitsu is being able to feel so many different styles of people and go, oh, you don't know what you're doing. Okay, we're good. Okay, I'm safe. Would you agree?
No, agreed. Break the connection always. The earlier you can, the better your life is, and the more fun you're gonna have. The later you leave the connections, then the harder it's gonna be, and you're just gonna get into deep water.
Yeah, if the clamp starts to come on, you're fucked. Right then, final question on this. Why, when, and how often do you include flow, slow rolling in the training of your groups? Everything is.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the. This kind of goes into a bigger conversation. This might take some time. I think the smartest thing we did was take the competitiveness out of the gym. Like, people aren't out for themselves. Like, it's not about slow or flow. Like, everything has to have an element of play to it. You're with your friends. The bigger conversation is: Are you working for a team, or are you working for yourself?
No, the team thing really changed the attitude of a lot of people who we were trying to explain to over the months. We want you guys to roll in a certain way. We're not trying to hit each other, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as they hit the whole team thing and comparing it to obviously the football teams, and, if you're a striker and you're a defender, you're taking the defender out. Sorry, you're taking the striker out. He ain't going to score goals where it matters in competition on the weekend. So what benefit have you, what, other than your ego probably feeling, I tapped this geezer out, like, you haven't helped your team. Your team's gone backwards. Like, you've injured someone, and over your little ego. And what was the prize? I can't see no prize. Nobody sees a prize. So it's not worth it.
Well, it creates such a, it sounds almost stupid, but it creates such a seismic shift in how you run a club. Because then the whole idea of stripes makes no sense. It never did anyway. But because it's not about your progression. It's about your place in the team. And, when it came to, because obviously people, it's easy for us as black belts to say, belts aren't that important. It's okay. You don't have to worry about it. If we were black belts, we haven't got anything else to collect. But then reframing it, because we both know what certain belts feel like, but then reframing it in the gym of what the belts mean, of a white belt is someone who's learning the ropes, welcome to the sport. A blue belt is someone who's on first team. Now, if I say change strategy, you change strategy. Purple belt's a team captain, someone who goes, cool, we're changing strategy. Off we go. Like, rest of the team, adopt strategy. What the fuck are you doing? Why aren't you adopting strategy? Brown belt is someone who gets it and is looking for strategy as well, and can break ideas apart and add into it. And again, still finding legacy of being able to coach, being able to compete at the highest level, etc. And the black belt is coaching staff.
Have you watched Squid Games?
I haven't seen the new season. I'm 3 seasons into, I took 2.5 seasons into Ted Lasso.
But you understand the concept of Squid Games, and you've seen the character. So you've seen season 1.
Yeah, I've seen season 1. Yeah.
So you know how, like, you have the square, triangle, and the circle, and they have that order of hierarchy where the circles aren't allowed to talk. Then you have the triangles with the supervisors, you have the bodyguards with the guns, and then you have the squares who are the main supervisors, and then you have the guy with with the other mask. So it's the same kind of thing where there's a hierarchy. Yeah,
but it's that in this plan there isn't necessarily a hierarchy because we're on the same team.
Yeah,
like you've got the coaching staff who try to implement strategy and implement training, but everyone else, like, you're on the same damn team.
Yeah.
Like, you have other people who are capable of, like, going about strategy, like, no, this is our strategy. And if you're not getting that, it's like, you ain't that belt. But everyone's on the same damn team. That's such a big message of, because then it takes out this one-upmanship of, like, oh, I can't have a white belt tap me out, or I can't have a purple belt tap me out, or because me and you have both said we both get handed these days by blue belts. I watched you the other day, very unable to get Adam down.
Yeah, he's good. He gives me the tough wrestling round, so
I know.
He understands my game. I'm like, you fucking know my game, man. I've got it. And it forces me to change things every week. And I'm always getting new tools or sharpening other ones because of him, especially in my stand-up wrestling, because he just doesn't open any gaps, man. I have to, like, force him in different ways.
His hand fighting and his forward momentum is problematic. Yeah, but he's a blue belt. And he's not a big blue belt. It's not like he's a overly athletic, 21-year-old blue belt rugby player. He's what, mid-30s, dad. And his strategy is good. He's on first team, obviously. You adopt strategy. But that's what I'm saying, as in we're not going home crying every night, going, "Oh, I got beaten by a blue belt today." Like, shit, we've got white belts that kill us. Like, put that in perspective. Like, before Reno got his blue belt, we had to war with that fucker.
Yeah.
I had a jiu-jitsu hangover when we did that 1 in, 1 out with Patrick when he was still a white belt.
Yeah.
And they're white belts. And I'm not saying we're shit. Maybe we are. But yeah, that's not to do with the team. Like, and it's, we didn't look at those people and go, "Oh yeah, but you're probably like a brown belt now if you're giving black belts a hard time." No, just it's where you are in the team and learning the sport. Like, you still got some ideas to learn. Maybe you're not good at implementing strategy yet. When you start implementing strategy, welcome to blue belt, welcome to first team. So I think it's a wider conversation, just like, oh yeah, we have to learn to calm people down. Like, yeah, we had to do it with some crazy white belts. And that's where this whole idea of, yes, we're on the same team, but also then every role is play, unless you agree first. I don't want to cut out the hard rounds. You have to go. Do you want to go? And if they say, let's go, then you go. Like, let's see where shit lands, because those rounds are still fun. But you have to agree to it. There has to be that. Because then that's what I said to you when we ended up giving the kicking to Lewis that time. That's how you end up with the bruised children. And that's how you end up with problems in the sport. It's that when you have someone who's coming in and going hard on everyone, you then go mat enforcer and go, fuck this guy. And you end up giving them a kicking. And then it just perpetuates that idea of, oh, if I want to be a bigger dog, I have to go beat someone else up. And the cycle continues. And then we went, you know what, kid? You know what? Do you want to go hard? No, I'd like to play, please. That's okay, we'll play. And he calmed the fuck down. He still likes kicking the shit out of his friend, but he's not being a dick. He's actually a good teammate now.
Yeah.
So I think the conversation on flow isn't about flow. It's about team mentality. It's a much bigger conversation. And that's, to cat out of the bag a little bit, is that's one thing we'll go make some videos on, especially when for people who join the gym, but also as like a template of gym etiquette, like how to create a team, like, welcome to the team. This is what we expect of you. Make people join. Like, watch this video, sign if you've watched it. Thank you. And like, this is the team mentality. This is how you do personal hygiene. This is how you treat people, and you're going to be treated. Instead of just come in and fuck around, find out if you go too hard, you're going to get a kicking off the mat enforcer.
Yeah.
Which is the way it's always been. Because you don't know any different.
I mean, yeah, go on.
No, carry on.
So there's probably people thinking like, we don't roll hard or anything, but since we've had this mentality, like, I think if you watch from outside, you think, fucking hell, these guys are nuts.
Well, that's the thing, is it's funny. I know I'm off the mats a little bit now, and you're taking up a lot more of the pushing of the athleticism of the gym and pushing everything, and I'm like sad that I can't be there. But it's that, from the top down dictator mentality of implement strategy, and one day it's not just about jiu-jitsu strategy, it's about managing people. And that's, some of the conversations you need to have sometimes, is it's not just your ability on the mats as a grappler. You might be a shit hot motherfucker. Like, you might be a wizard with jiu-jitsu. Doesn't mean you can coach. You might be able to coach. You might be able to tell people and explain jiu-jitsu really well, but it doesn't mean you're a good manager of people. It doesn't mean you can direct people correctly and try and get the right environment in the gym. And so it's knowing each individual skill. And that's one thing that, being able to identify and actually go, we want a better team environment. We want people to actually come in and go, yeah, I'm entirely safe here. No one's going to try and fuck me up. I don't feel like there's. I mean, you're trying to think of the environment now. There isn't many situations, if at all, that I can think of people being like, this person's targeting me or this person's not a fun role. It's very few and far between.
Yeah.
No one feels unsafe,
no,
as it were.
Hopefully, I hope there isn't anyone.
Yeah, I know. But in general, like, no one's kind of been overly avoidant.
No.
Which is so strange. Can you think about other jiu-jitsu gyms that you might hear online and stuff and on videos and everything? There's always those issue people. Like, yeah, I can't roll this person because he just goes too hard and it's like hurts everyone in the gym. That is so alien. Doesn't happen. So, but that's that kind of, it's not coaching. It's not your rolling ability. It's how do you manage people. That is a skill in itself. And just because we go, yeah, we care about people. We have a risk assessment to make sure everyone is safe. And we go, it's all play until you don't want to play anymore. Doesn't mean we don't go hard. Oh my God. No, that jiu-jitsu hangover is real some days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's not weakness being nice to people.
The environment's good right now, man. I hope we don't jinx it.
Yeah. It can only get better. And I think the more we listen, I think listening's important. And that is definitely a thing that we need to push, is listening more as well. But it seems all right now. I know there was a big question on Discord. I don't think we had it written down.
We'll do
it on the next podcast. We'll do a whole session on it.
Yeah, so we've got that one, and we got Felix's one as well, haven't we, about the constraints of teaching and stuff. Sorry, not constraints.
Yeah,
he
did that huge
belt strategies and stuff. Yeah.
I think we do big breakdowns on both of those. But he sent two of those questions in, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, he's on it. Good guy. Yeah, so this is going to be fun. I'm going to love posting this and tagging you in it. Also need to mention your series is picking up steam.
Is it? Oh,
Instagram
nice.
versus reality.
Yeah.
We'll record more of that this week.
Yeah, we've got a few more. Let's
get on it. So yeah, expect loads of videos from us this week.
We're back on. Holidays are over.
Yeah, we're back on it now. Right. Thank you, Naki. Thank you for jumping on and redoing this as a video.
No problem.
This feels right. The whole setup. I need to get a couple of bits of kit to set up my setup, finish my setup, but this feels right.
Nice.
So thank you, sir. I'll see you tomorrow.
No problem. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.